Welcome back, and in this video we continue our journey for CSEC 2025 by looking at the May 2018 paper. Now this will have 4 questions in it. Let's get to the first one. Now question 1 reads, the number 3.14063 written correctly to 3 decimal places is. Now this is actually a very straightforward question, and we're looking at having it with 3 decimal places. So with that being given to us, we know that 3 is the whole number, and we have our decimal point. Now after 3 we have 140. So that's 3 decimal places. So let's just put a line here. Now after that we notice we have the number 6. Now with 6 being greater than 5, it would require us to just do a +1. So let me just write this out here. So we'd have 3.14063. Remember, we're stopping here. The number here, since it's 6, being that it's above 5, we're going to do +1. So 0 plus 1, which is just going to be 1. So the answer is 3.141, which is B. Okay, so that was relatively easy. Now, here's the next question. Now, one of the reasons why the Ministry of Education is advocating for you to practice questions, especially for the multiple choice section, is you recognize that this question here is actually a very similar question, actually the same question from January. So the May question was actually a repeat question from the January paper. So let's just get straight into this here if you haven't done it before and you're now joining us. So the percentage formula. So let's just get this out of the way. So percentage is what is going to be equal to, is you're going to have a part and we're going to have a whole. And we're multiplying this by 100. So in approaching this, we're asked what percentage of 40 is 8. Now, sometimes persons get confused because they're thinking it's 40%. That's not what it is. If you look closely, you'll see that everything here has a percentage sign next to it. Now, this is actually an indicator wherein our whole, being the greater value, is 40, and the part of it is 8. So with this being said, we can cross out these 2 zeros. Then we can say 4 1's 4, 4 2's 8. So we have 2 multiplying 10. If you notice here, that's 10, which means we have here to be 20. So with that being said, this question here, the answer is also going to be B. Okay, so moving on to question 3. So we're asked to write 0.45 as a common fraction in its simplest form. So this one here, some persons may find a little bit tricky, and I noticed I misspoke in the earlier video, so I'm going to try and correct myself going forward. And please pay very keen attention to the note that I have in that video where the mistake is. So let's now begin with understanding what this is. So we'd have 0.45. So this here, the 0, this here is in the ones place. Now everything on this side I'm going to write shorthand. Now these after this section here, this is in the decimal position. So this is tenths, so I'm going to put THS. This is hundreds, hundreds. So those are actually, let's say, being divided. Now, what we need to also understand is something else as well. This here tells us what actually is happening or what we need to divide by. So hundreds, so again, THS, what it means is that where we stop at. So we're going to put 100 at the bottom. Now for the decimal point, we notice we have ones, which is 0. So we're just going to write the number 45 because this is just 0. So putting 0 for 5 is still going to mean 45. So what do we do next? Now we look at what can divide both of them. And again, it needs to be the exact same number. So most persons, of course, will be comfortable just using 5. So let's use 5. 5 9s, 45, and 5 20 is 100. And then we could recognize that it cannot be simplified any further. And again, it wants it in the simplest form. Therefore, A is the answer, 9 divided by 20. And now question 4, which will be our last question. From this here, we're told that a certain number of money is shared in the ratio of 2 to 3 to 9. If the difference between the first and second share is $40, then the amount of money shared is. Now, here again, we are going back to dealing with a question that many persons will be uncomfortable with because this is going back to a lower grade ratio. So what do we need to understand? To answer a ratio question, there are some different approaches. However, algebra is the best approach we can make use of since we're actually trying to solve, in this case, the amount of money shared based on what the second share is, which is $40. So commonly what we would do is we'd write x. So instead of just having 2 to 3 to 9, we're going to say we have 2x to 3x to 9x. Because remember, we're going to end up solving for what x is. So we're told the difference between the first and second share. So again, the difference between the first and second share is 40. So the first share, second share. This is the third share. Well, just putting that there. So what we'd have is 3x take 2x. And what we're going to have is this is going to be equal to just x because 3x take 2x is just x. So we can actually now state that x is equal to 40. So another way we can actually do this here, this is one understanding of it. We can have 3x minus 2x equals to 40. X is equal to 40. So this here, this is like more of an assumption. This here is actually writing it in a better approachable format. So what we need to now actually do is understand how many shares we have. So 2 and 3 is 5 and 9 is 14. So we have 14 shares, so writing it as 14x. So considering that x is equal to 40, to actually now work here, we're going to have 14x is equal to 14, and x is what? X is 40. 14 times 40. So 14 times 0 is 0. And again, you can just take your time and do this. So we have 14 times 4. 4 4 is 16. 4 1 is 4. And 1 is 5. So we have 56. So here is 56. And that there is your answer. D, the amount of money that is shared. And this here has brought us to the end of May 2018. I hope you're finding these videos helpful and do look forward to the next one.